In the quiet solitude of my living room, I sit enveloped in a suffocating silence, the kind that seeps into your bones and lingers long after the noise has faded. The weight of my son's choice presses down on me like a heavy blanket, one that suffocates rather than comforts. I had envisioned his wedding day as a celebration, a moment bursting with joy and love. Instead, it feels like a funeral for our relationship, a stark reminder of how quickly things can change. As I glance around the room, memories swirl like dust motes in the sunbeam that filters through the window. I see the frames filled with photographs, years of laughter, milestones, and dreams we built together. My heart aches at the thought of those fleeting moments, especially now that I find myself feeling like a ghost, wandering through the remnants of a life that once felt so vibrant. The warmth of our shared experiences is overshadowed by a coldness that has crept in since he married her. I remember the late-night talks we shared, the way his eyes would light up as he recounted his dreams, and how I always believed that our bond was unbreakable. But today, I feel like an outsider peering into a world that was once mine. With each passing day, I grapple with a sense of betrayal and loneliness, wondering if I have lost him forever to the allure of someone new. The betrayal isn't merely in his choice of a wife. It's in how easily he seems to have pushed me aside. I had dedicated my life to him. Sacrifices made, dreams shelved for his success. And yet, in a single moment, it feels like all those years disappeared as he stepped into a new life, leaving me behind. I've watched as he embraced her with the enthusiasm of a child, while I stood in the shadows, feeling invisible. But today, something stirs within me. I can't remain a passive observer in my own life any longer. I resolve to take control, to reclaim my happiness, even if it means leaving behind all that I've known. The thought of packing up my life is daunting, but the idea of continuing to live as a ghost in my own home is far worse. What will it take for me to rediscover my joy? Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. As I ponder this question, I realize that it may be time to step out of my comfort zone and forge a new path. Perhaps it's not just about leaving, it's about embracing the possibility of transformation. Before I can dive deeper into my thoughts, I'm reminded of my loyal online community, a group of kindred, spirits who share their own struggles and triumphs. I want to reach out to them, to share my journey. Where are you tuning in from? I wonder if they, too, have faced moments of loss that led them to discover their true selves. If this story resonates with you, make sure you subscribe, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special. As I sit back, a wave of determination washes over me. I can't change what has happened, but I can choose how to respond. I can choose to reclaim my narrative. Every sacrifice I made was not in vain. They were lessons, building blocks of resilience that will guide me forward. The world outside my window is bustling with life, a stark contrast to my internal turmoil. I can hear neighbors laughing, children playing, and the distant hum of the city moving forward without me. In this moment, I realize that I've been standing still while everything else has continued to grow. What if I could step outside these walls and find a new adventure waiting for me? With that thought, I rise from my seat, feeling a flicker of hope ignite within me. I won't let this rift define who I am. Instead, I'll use it as a catalyst for growth. I'll seek out new experiences, meet new people, and perhaps even reignite the passions I set aside for too long. I slowly walked to the window, looking out at the life unfolding beneath me. There's a whole world out there, filled with possibilities, just waiting to be explored. It's time to embrace the unknown and take my first steps toward a future that I can shape. No matter the pain of the past, I have the power to change my narrative. I can find joy again. And as I look out at the horizon, I feel a sense of liberation wash over me. I'm ready to reclaim my life. Will I find the happiness I seek, or will the shadows of my past continue to hold me captive? The questions linger in the air as I walk away from the window, ready to take the first steps on this new journey. As I stood in the middle of my bedroom, surrounded by the remnants of a life I had built, I felt a strange mix of nostalgia and resolve. Each item I touched told a story. A faded photograph of a family dinner, the laughter of my son echoing in my ears. But with every memory, the sharp sting of rejection pierced through, reminding me of the choice my son had made. He chose his wife over me, and in that moment I realized I had to make a choice of my own. I began to pack my belongings, carefully wrapping each cherished item in soft cloth. The delicate porcelain figurine my late husband had given me, once a symbol of love, now felt like a weight, a reminder of all that had been lost. I placed it in the box with a heavy heart, understanding that it no longer represented the life I wanted. What does it mean to leave everything behind? I thought as I folded my favorite quilt, the one that had kept me warm through countless winter nights. It was a tapestry of memories, each patch a different time, a different joy. Yet, it too had become a symbol of my past, one that I needed to let go. The air was thick with memories, a bittersweet aroma that lingered as I worked. I could almost hear the laughter from the family dinners we used to have, the smell of my famous roast chicken filling the air, and the sound of my son's voice, full of life and joy. But now, those sounds were ghosts, haunting me with their absence. As I piled more items into the box, I felt a surge of urgency. I could no longer stand by as my son's choices dictated my happiness. I needed to reclaim my life, my wealth, my freedom, and most importantly, my self-respect. This was not just about leaving. It was about stepping into a new chapter, one where I could embrace independence and forge my own legacy. I paused, taking a breath as the fear of the unknown washed over me. Leaving my home felt like stepping off a cliff into darkness. What if I fail? The thought lingered, but I pushed it away. I had spent too long living in the shadows of others' decisions. It was time to take control, to build a life on my own terms. I sat down at my old wooden desk, its surface scarred by years of use, and began to write a list, things that truly mattered. Wealth, yes, but also freedom and dignity. I wrote down my goals, my dreams, things I had put on hold for far too long. I refused to let my son's decision define me, I thought, feeling a flicker of determination spark within. I would not be the woman who faded into the background, forgotten and alone. Instead, I would be the woman who took her fortune and created something new, something beautiful. The sound of a car in the driveway jolted me from my thoughts. My heart raced as I recognized the familiar engine. My son was home early. Panic washed over me. What would he think? Would he try to convince me to stay? I stood frozen, the list still clutched in my hand as the door swung open. Mom? His voice echoed through the hallway, filled with uncertainty. I felt a rush of emotions, torn between the love I felt for him and the hurt that had driven me to this point. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for whatever would come next. Mom, are you in there? His voice was closer now, laced with concern. I'm packing, I called back, my voice steadier than I felt. Packing? For what? I could hear him approaching, the sound of his footsteps heavy with confusion. I knew this moment would be pivotal. For my new life, I responded, my heart racing as I braced for his reaction. There was a pause, a silence that felt like an eternity. What do you mean, your new life? As he entered the room, I faced him, my resolve hardening. I'm leaving, sweetheart. I can't stay here and watch you choose her over me. His expression shifted from confusion to disbelief. Mom, you don't have to do this. We can work it out. Work what out? I challenged, feeling the weight of my decision settling over me. You've made your choice. Now I'm making mine. Please don't do this, he pleaded, his voice cracking. I felt my own heart ache at his words, but I couldn't allow myself to be swayed. I love you, but I deserve to be happy too. I need to find my own way. Mom, you don't have to go. I'll talk to her. We can— No, I interrupted firmly, feeling the anger rise within me. You don't understand. I can't live like this, feeling like a stranger in my own home. I refuse to let your choices dictate my happiness. He looked at me, and for a brief moment, I saw a flicker of understanding in his eyes, mixed with sadness. I don't want to lose you. My heart broke at his words, but I knew I had to stay strong. Then you need to understand that I'm doing this for both of us. I need to find my own path. He stood there, uncertainty etched across his face, and I felt a mixture of regret and determination. I'm sorry, I said softly, feeling the weight of the moment. But this is what I have to do. As he stepped back, the realization settled between us like an invisible barrier. I was leaving, and there was no turning back. With one last look at my son, I turned back to my packing, feeling the bittersweet ache of leaving everything behind. I knew it would be a long road ahead, filled with challenges and fears. But I also felt a flicker of hope. This was my chance to build a new life, one that was truly mine. And as I folded the last item into the box, I felt lighter, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. As I pull away from the driveway for the last time, a wave of mixed emotions crashes over me. Sadness clings to my heart like a heavy fog. Yet there's a flicker of relief nestled within. I glance back at the house, its windows reflecting the fading sunlight, and my heart aches. Each mile I drive through these familiar streets evokes a kaleidoscope of memories. My son's laughter echoing in the playground where he once learned to ride his bike, the school that marked his first steps toward independence, and our favorite diner where we shared countless milkshakes, each sip brimming with stories and dreams. But today I remind myself that I am not abandoning him. I am reclaiming my life, a life that has been overshadowed by choices made for me, rather than by me. I think of the fortune I've worked so hard for, a testament to my resilience, and how this wealth will empower me to start anew. I can almost feel the possibilities stretching out ahead, like an open road unfurling beneath a boundless sky. What adventures await me beyond this moment? The question lingers in my mind, pushing me forward as I navigate the streets that hold pieces of my past. I pass by the old park where he played soccer, his determination evident even then, and the library where he spent countless hours lost in worlds that ignited his imagination. Each turn pulls at my heartstrings, yet I know I must let go. I feel a strange sense of liberation, as if the weight of the past is lifting, revealing a brighter horizon. I think about how, for too long, I allowed my identity to be defined by my role as a mother, by my son's choices, and the expectations of those around me. I realize now that my life is so much more than that. I am a woman with hopes, dreams, and a legacy to build, separate from the choices of others. The hum of the engine is a soothing backdrop as I find myself lost in thought. I think of the life I want to create, one where I can invest in myself, a life filled with purpose. The road ahead is uncharted territory, yet it beckons me with the promise of new experiences and renewed joy. I remember the words of my grandmother. Life is not about the cards you're dealt, but how you choose to play them. As I approach the outskirts of town, I take a deep breath, inhaling the scent of pine trees and fresh earth. This is a moment of transition, a pivotal point in my journey where the past and future collide. I think of my son, his life intertwined with mine. Yet I must carve my own path. I can hear his voice in my head, reminding me of the love we shared. Mom, you deserve happiness too. I smile softly at the memory, knowing he might not understand my decision now, but hoping that one day he will see it as an act of love rather than betrayal. I want him to know that I am still here, just in a different way. I may be leaving, but I carry him with me, always. The highway opens up before me, stretching endlessly, like my newfound hopes. I can almost taste the freedom, rich and exhilarating. I wonder if I will find the joy I seek, a joy that has felt just out of reach for so long. What will I discover about myself as I journey forward? The sun begins to dip below the horizon, casting a golden glow over everything. I drive with purpose, my hands gripping the wheel firmly, feeling the pulse of life thrum beneath me. It's a reminder that I am alive, that every day is an opportunity to redefine myself. I think of the people I might meet, the experiences that await, and the lessons I will learn. With each passing mile, the memories fade like the daylight, replaced by the promise of a fresh start. I remind myself of the importance of legacy. Not just the wealth I've accumulated, but the love, resilience, and strength I can pass on. I want my son to remember me not just as his mother, but as a woman who fought for her own happiness, who dared to step outside the shadows of expectation. As I drive further away, I catch a glimpse of my reflection in the rearview mirror. The woman staring back at me is filled with a mix of emotions: fear, excitement, hope. I am ready to embrace this next chapter, ready to leave behind the pain of the past and step boldly into a future that is all my own. What lies ahead may be uncertain, but I refuse to let fear dictate my journey. Instead, I will seek out joy, adventure, and the fulfillment that comes from living authentically. I close my eyes for a moment, letting the wind brush against my face, and I allow myself to dream. What if this is just the beginning of something beautiful? The road stretches on, and with it my resolve strengthens. I am reclaiming my life, 1 mile at a time. The moment I stepped out of the car, a rush of fresh air filled my lungs, invigorating me like a long-lost friend. The quaint little town lay before me, draped in vibrant colors, flowers bursting with life and grass freshly cut, the scent wafting through the air like a promise of new beginnings. I could almost see the weight of my past lifting, replaced by a flicker of hope that bubbled within me, urging me to take that first step toward a blank canvas. As I ambled toward my new cottage, a charming little structure tucked between 2 majestic oak trees, I couldn't help but smile. It felt different here, an untouched chapter waiting for my pen. My hands trembled slightly as I turned the key, the door creaking open to reveal a space that was both foreign and inviting. Dust motes danced in the sunlight streaming through the windows, and I could almost hear whispers of the stories that would unfold within these walls. Before I had the chance to settle in, I was greeted by my neighbors, an elderly couple who seemed to embody warmth. Their names were Harold and Ruth, and they welcomed me as if I were family. "Huh, a new face in our little corner of the world," Harold exclaimed, his eyes twinkling. "What brings you to our quaint town?" I could feel the weight of my past still lingering in my heart, but I chose to embrace this moment. "Just looking for a fresh start," I replied, forcing a smile. "I hope to find some peace here." Ruth stepped closer, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. "We all have our stories, dear. You're not alone in seeking something new. Life has a funny way of leading us where we need to be." Her words resonated deeply within me. I could feel my defenses slowly crumbling as I shared bits of my journey. I told them about my son, the heartache of feeling replaced, but also about the strength I felt swelling inside me, the courage to carve out a new path. As the sun dipped low in the sky, we exchanged stories. Harold spoke of his youth, filled with dreams of being an artist, and how life had shifted those dreams into a life of responsibilities and compromises. Ruth shared tales of her travels, her eyes sparkling with nostalgia. It was a powerful reminder that life is a tapestry woven from threads of joy, sorrow, and resilience. I felt an instant connection with them, as if we were bound by the shared understanding of life's unpredictability. After a lovely evening filled with laughter and stories, I returned to my cottage, heart buoyed by this newfound friendship. I began unpacking, each box revealing treasures that told the story of my life as a mother, a woman, a dreamer. A vase from my late grandmother, delicate and chipped but filled with memories of her garden. A stack of books filled with stories that had once ignited a fire within me. A painting I had attempted in my younger years. A reminder of the artist I once aspired to be. Each item I placed around the cottage filled it with warmth and purpose. This is my space, I thought. This is where I reclaim who I am, beyond being a mother. As I hung a colorful quilt on the wall, memories of laughter and tears flooded my mind. But instead of sadness, I found strength. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. I planted flowers in a small garden patch. They're vibrant at colors mirroring the hope I felt blooming inside me. I arranged the furniture, creating cozy nooks for reading and reflection. With every small change, I felt a little more tethered to this place, a little more at home. One afternoon, while watering my newly planted flowers, I noticed Ruth and Harold sitting on their porch, sipping lemonade. It was an invitation I couldn't resist. I wandered over, a pitcher of my own lemonade in hand. "Care for a refill?" I asked, pouring a glass for each of them. "Only if you share your thoughts on this little paradise you've landed in." Harold grinned, his eyes sparkling with mischief. I chuckled, taking a seat on their porch swing. "It's everything I hoped for. This place feels like a fresh start, a place to rediscover myself," Ruth nodded knowingly. "It's important to embrace that. You've endured so much. It's time to reshape your legacy into something that reflects who you truly are." Her words struck a chord deep within me. I realized that my legacy was no longer just about my son or the sacrifices I made. It was about the woman I could still become, the dreams that still flickered in the corners of my heart. As days turned into weeks, I found myself immersing deeper into this new life. I joined a local book club, where I met women from all walks of life, each with their own stories of resilience and transformation. We shared our favorite novels, but more importantly, we shared our lives, our struggles, and our victories. These women became my confidants, each interaction stitching together a tapestry of support and understanding. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue across the town, I sat on my porch with a book in hand, reflecting on the journey that had brought me here. I thought of my son, the choices he made, and the heartache that had once consumed me. I realized that while I had lost a part of my identity, I had also gained an opportunity to forge a new one. Isn't it remarkable? I mused aloud, glancing at Ruth, who had joined me on the porch. How life can change in an instant. One moment, I was drowning in grief, and now I'm finding joy in the smallest things, Ruth smiled, her eyes glimmering with wisdom. Indeed, dear, life has a way of surprising us, but it's our choice to embrace those surprises and make them our own. As I looked out at the blooming garden, I understood that each flower was a reminder of my own transformation, a symbol of resilience and rebirth. I vowed to nurture not only my garden but also this new chapter of my life. With each passing day, I became bolder in my pursuits. I began painting again, allowing the colors to flow freely on the canvas, a reflection of my emotions and aspirations. I took long walks exploring the town, finding inspiration in its quaint charm and the stories etched into every brick. I even volunteered at the local community center, helping others find their voices, sharing the wisdom I had gathered along the way. And as I poured myself into these new endeavors, I started to understand that I was not alone in my journey. The pain of my past was still there, but it no longer defined me. I was growing, evolving, and embracing the woman I had always wanted to be. What more could this new beginning hold for me? The community center buzzed with energy, a heartbeat of connection in my new town. Each morning I walked through its doors, greeted by the warmth of familiar faces and the hum of conversations. I could feel a stirring within me, a sense of purpose that had eluded me for far too long. I had traded in the glittering facade of wealth for something far more valuable: community. I started teaching art classes, sharing my love for colors and creativity with anyone willing to listen. The joy of seeing a child's eyes light up as they created something beautiful was more fulfilling than any monetary success I'd known. With every brushstroke, I felt a piece of my own spirit awaken. I didn't just teach, I learned. The stories shared in the room were like threads weaving a tapestry of lives intertwined, each one a testament to resilience. One afternoon, while cleaning up after a particularly spirited class, I met Miriam. Her laughter echoed through the hall, a sound that immediately drew me in. We struck up a conversation that revealed her journey. She had fled a troubled marriage, seeking a fresh start in this small town. Her story resonated with me, igniting memories of my own struggles. I never thought I'd find my voice again, she confessed, her hands animated as she recounted her triumphs and setbacks. But here, among people who understand, I am learning to stand tall. I nodded, feeling a strange kinship with her words. It's remarkable how we can find strength in unexpected places, isn't it? Miriam smiled, her eyes shimmering with gratitude. It's like we're all pieces of a puzzle, trying to fit together. Sometimes it takes a little time to see the bigger picture. Her insight struck a chord deep within me. I hadn't just come to this town to escape. I had come to rediscover myself, to find my place in the mosaic of humanity. I began to realize that my fortune was not merely in the money I had left behind, but in the lives I could touch. As the weeks passed, I organized food drives, gathering donations from those who had so little yet gave so generously. Each box filled with canned goods was a testament to the collective spirit of the community. I watched as families came together, united by their willingness to share. In those moments, I found a purpose that eclipsed any financial gain. One chili. Saturday morning, I arrived at the center to find a line of families waiting for their share of food. The air was crisp, but the warmth of human connection enveloped me. I started handing out boxes, exchanging smiles and small talk with everyone who passed. A little boy, no more than 7, approached me with wide eyes. "Are you a fairy godmother?" he asked, his voice full of innocence. I chuckled, shaking my head. "No, sweetheart. Just someone who believes in sharing what we have." He frowned for a moment, then brightened. "You're still magical. You make people smile." In that moment, I felt a surge of warmth rush through me. Perhaps it wasn't about magic in the traditional sense. Perhaps it was about the magic we create when we choose to care for one another. As I continued to volunteer, I met more remarkable individuals who shared their stories. Each encounter deepened my understanding of the human experience, the struggles, the triumphs, and the unyielding spirit that binds us all. I learned about Sarah, a single mother juggling 2 jobs while pursuing her education, and James, a retired veteran who found solace in helping others after serving in the military. Their resilience was contagious, and I felt invigorated by their determination. I began to reflect on my own life, on the privilege I once took for granted. The moments I had spent holed up in my mansion, surrounded by wealth but devoid of connection, now felt like a distant memory. I realized that my legacy would not be defined by my bank account, but by the lives I touched, the smiles I inspired, and the love I shared. One evening, as I sat in my quiet apartment reflecting on all that had transpired, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. The community center had become a sanctuary for me, a place where I could channel my energy into something meaningful. I knew I had to do more. I began to brainstorm new initiatives to support those in need. We started a mentorship program for young adults, connecting them with professionals who could guide them in their career paths. I hosted workshops on financial literacy to empower individuals to take control of their futures. Each new project fueled my desire to give back, to leave a mark on this world that extended beyond my personal struggles. The community rallied around these initiatives, and I felt the power of collective effort. We were not alone in our endeavors. We were a tapestry of stories, each thread vital to the whole. I learned that while I could lead and inspire, it was the community that truly brought change. One day, as I prepared for a workshop, Miriam approached me, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "You've made a difference, you know. People believe in themselves again because of you." Her words washed over me like a balm. "I'm just doing what feels right," I replied, humbled. "But it's all of us together that creates this change." Miriam nodded, her expression serious. "Remember, your experiences have shaped you. You have wisdom that can light the way for others. Don't underestimate your impact, ever." I took her words to heart. As I looked around at the faces of those who had become my family, I understood that my journey had transformed me. I was no longer the woman who had lost everything. I was someone who had gained so much more. I had discovered the true essence of legacy, not in wealth, but in the connections we forge and the lives we uplift. Each day became a new chapter in this unfolding narrative of purpose. I found joy in the smallest interactions, a shared laugh, a heartfelt conversation, the satisfaction of knowing that I was contributing to something greater than myself. And as I continued to grow, I felt a fervor igniting within me. I was ready to explore new avenues, to push the boundaries of my contributions. I wanted to reach more people, to inspire hope, and to show others that it's never too late to find your purpose. What would I do next? How could I change even more lives? As I pondered these questions, a sense of excitement washed over me. I was no longer just a woman with a fortune. I was a vessel of hope, a beacon for those seeking light in their darkest hours, and I knew that my journey was just beginning. I stood in my kitchen, the aroma of fresh herbs mingling with the warmth of the oven, as I prepared for the community event that had been consuming my thoughts for weeks. The chopping of vegetables was rhythmic, almost meditative, when suddenly the shrill ring of my phone sliced through the calm. Who could it be? I thought, my heart skipping at the possibility. I glanced at the screen and my breath caught in my throat. It was him, my son. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the phone, a mix of excitement and dread swirling in my chest. After a moment I picked up, and his voice floated through the receiver like a ghost from the past, filled with hesitation and regret. "Mom, is that you?" There was a weight behind those words, a gravity that pulled at my heartstrings. "Yes, I'm here," I replied, my voice softer than I intended. How do I begin to bridge this chasm between us? "How have you been?" he asked, and I could hear the uncertainty in his tone, as if he were treading on fragile ground. It was a simple question, yet it felt monumental, like standing on the edge of a cliff, peering into the abyss. "I'm doing okay," I said, trying to keep my tone light. "Just busy with the community garden project. It's been a lot of work, but it keeps me occupied." He paused, and I could hear the movement on the other end, the shifting of papers, or perhaps the sound of him running a hand through his hair. "That's good to hear. I've been thinking about you a lot lately." Thinking about me? I wondered if he could sense the hurt still lingering in my heart, like a shadow that refused to fade. "You have?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Yeah. Things with Sarah have been difficult. I don't know how to explain it." He took a deep breath, and I could practically feel the weight of his struggles through the phone. "I feel torn, Mom, between my love for her and the memories of our life together." A lump formed in my throat, and I struggled to quell the tide of emotions threatening to overwhelm me. "It's not easy, is it?" I replied, my voice steady despite the tremor beneath. "No, it's not. I want to be there for her, but sometimes I miss us. I miss you." His admission hung in the air, thick and heavy, and I felt a flicker of hope ignite within me, battling against the hurt. "I miss you too," I said, letting the truth spill out, raw and unfiltered. "But you chose her, and I had to choose myself." He sighed, and I could sense the regret washing over him, a wave crashing against the shores of his conscience. "I know, and I'm sorry. I never wanted it to come to this. I thought that maybe with time things would settle." "Time doesn't always heal, sweetheart," I replied gently. "Sometimes it just adds layers of pain." "I know," he whispered. "I've been thinking about how things ended between us. I just wish I could go back and change it all." Would I want him to? The question danced in my mind, intertwining with the memories of laughter and shared joys, but also with the bitterness of betrayal. "We can't go back, but we can move forward," I offered, hoping to guide him toward a path of understanding. "Can we?" His voice was barely above a murmur, full of yearning. I want to come see you. I want to talk. Face to face. My heart raced at the prospect. That might be a good idea, but we need to be prepared for what that means. There's a lot to unpack, and I'm not ready to forget. I don't want you to forget, he insisted, a hint of desperation creeping in. I want a chance to make things right. As I stood there, the scent of dinner wafting around me, I realized this was indeed a turning point. He was reaching out, wanting to reconnect, and while the hurt still lingered, I could feel the beginnings of forgiveness stirring within me. Let's take it one step at a time, I said, my voice steady and firm. We can try to heal, but it's going to take time and honesty. I promise, he said softly. I'll do whatever it takes. The silence that followed was thick with unspoken words, a fragile thread connecting us across the distance. Let's plan for next week, I suggested, my heart pounding in my chest. We can meet at the old coffee shop. It's familiar and maybe it'll help. Yeah, I'd like that, he replied, relief washing over his tone. Just remember, I'm not the same person I was before. I've changed, and I need you to understand that. Telling and preparing this story took us a lot of time, so if you're enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. I do, he said, the sincerity in his voice grounding me. I really do. The call ended with a tentative promise, a flicker of hope lighting the path ahead. As I put down the phone, I felt a mix of emotions swirling within me. Anticipation, fear, and a delicate sense of possibility. Forgiveness is a journey, and while I'm not ready to forget, I can allow space for healing. I took a deep breath, letting the air fill my lungs as I glanced out the window at the community garden, vibrant and alive. Maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something new. The cafe was small and unassuming, tucked away on a quiet street, its vintage charm a comforting backdrop for what felt like the most significant conversation of my life. I had arrived early, sitting by the window, my fingers tracing the rim of a chipped coffee cup, an old habit I hadn't outgrown. The scent of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the sweet aroma of pastries, wrapping around me like a warm embrace. Yet, beneath that warmth lay a tempest of emotions, anticipation, anxiety, and a flicker of hope. What would he say? The question hung in the air, heavy with the weight of years lost. After everything, could we truly reconnect? I heard the door chime and looked up. There he was, my son, or the man he had become. He looked older, lines etched around his eyes that hadn't been there before, a subtle testament to the burdens he carried. My heart twisted at the sight of him, and I felt a rush of memories flood back, the laughter, the joy, the moments we once shared. Mom, he said, his voice a mixture of warmth and uncertainty. We exchanged awkward pleasantries, the kind that felt like stepping on a fragile bridge, unsure if it would hold. How have you been? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Busy. Work, family. You know how it is. I nodded, my heart heavy. Family. It was a word that stung, a reminder of the distance that had grown between us. The silence stretched between us, filled with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. I took a deep breath, gathering my courage. I've missed you, I said, my voice trembling. He shifted in his seat, the tension palpable. I know. I've missed you too. It's just complicated. A word that seemed to sum up our relationship perfectly. I could see the struggle in his eyes, the weight of balancing his marriage with the past we shared. I had spent so long feeling cast aside, like a book left on a shelf, forgotten and dusty. But today, I was here to reclaim my story. I wanted to talk about everything, I said, my heart racing, about how I felt when you chose her. His gaze dropped to the table, and I could see the conflict brewing within him. Mom, it wasn't that simple. I loved you, but I had to make a choice. I thought it was what was best for everyone. Best for everyone. The words echoed in my mind like a bitter refrain. I understand that now, I said, surprising myself with my own resolve. But it felt like I was thrown away, like my love didn't matter. He looked up then, pain etched across his face. It did matter, and it still does. I didn't know how to navigate it all. A moment of silence enveloped us, heavy with the weight of our shared history. I could feel the walls between us beginning to crack, a flicker of understanding sparking in the air. I've spent so much time feeling abandoned, I admitted, my voice softening. But I've also spent this time rediscovering myself. I've learned to find joy in the little things, to embrace life despite the pain. He listened, his expression shifting, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. I'm glad to hear that. I've been struggling too, balancing my marriage, being a father. It's a lot. As we spoke, the conversation began to flow like a river, cutting through the rocks of our past. We shared laughter, memories that brought back the warmth of better days. The stories we exchanged felt like threads weaving a new tapestry, one that included both our experiences, not just the pain of separation. Do you remember that summer we went to the lake? I asked, a smile breaking through the heaviness. His face lit up, and for a moment I could see the boy I once knew. Of course, you made the best sandwiches, and I caught that huge fish. I chuckled, remembering his excitement, the way he had danced around the dock, his laughter echoing off the water. And then you let it go, because you didn't want to hurt it. Yeah, I thought I was being noble, he said, a hint of embarrassment in his smile. That was you, always caring about others, I said, my heart swelling with pride. You still have that in you, don't you? I try, he replied, his gaze softening. But sometimes it feels like I'm not doing enough. Not doing enough. The phrase resonated deeply, as it had been my own mantra for years. It's not about doing enough, but about being present, I said gently. Life is messy and complicated, but we can choose to be there for one another, even if it looks different than it used to. He nodded, the understanding settling between us like a comfortable blanket. I want that too. I want us to build something new, even if it's not what we had before. Tears welled up in my eyes, a release I hadn't anticipated. I think I can accept that, I whispered, the words almost a prayer. As the conversation unfolded, I could feel the tension slowly dissipating, the healing taking root in the fertile soil of our shared experiences. We spoke of dreams, fears, and the journey we both had taken in the years apart. I told him about the art classes I had taken, how I painted not just to create, but to express the emotions I had bottled up for far too long. I think you would love it, I said, the excitement bubbling up within me. It's freeing in a way I never expected. I'd like to see your work, he said, his interest genuine. We continued to talk, the cafe buzzing around us, but in that moment it felt like we were the only two people in the world. I could see the possibility of a new relationship forming, one built on understanding rather than the pain of the past. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting a warm glow through the cafe windows, I realized that while we may never return to what we once had, there was something beautiful about starting anew. It was a chance to create a connection that was richer, more profound, and filled with the wisdom of our experiences. "Thank you for meeting me today," I said, my voice filled with gratitude. "I'm glad I did," he replied, his eyes shining, with a mixture of relief and hope. In that moment, I knew that I had taken a step toward reconciliation, not just with him, but with myself as well. The journey ahead would not be easy, but it felt possible, and for the first time in a long while, I allowed myself to dream of what a renewed relationship could look like. The cafe door chimed again as other patrons entered, but our little corner felt sacred, a sanctuary where two souls could begin to mend what had been broken. I looked at my son, and for the first time in years, I saw not just the man he had become, but the boy I had cherished, and I felt a warmth spread through me, a flicker of hope that perhaps, just perhaps, we could find our way back to each other. As I sat in the quiet of my study, surrounded by the books and memories that had shaped my life, I found myself lost in thought. It was a strange feeling to be here, where I had spent countless hours reflecting on the past and dreaming about the future. But now, the weight of my choices pressed heavily on my heart. My son had chosen his wife over me, and in that heart-wrenching moment, I felt not just the sting of rejection, but the profound realization of what my life had become. I had always worried about leaving behind a legacy of wealth, houses, investments, and the trappings of a comfortable life. But as I sat there, the realization washed over me like a gentle wave. What good is wealth if it isn't accompanied by love and wisdom? Suddenly, I understood that my true legacy wasn't in the things I could leave behind, but in the love I could impart. It was a comforting thought, yet also a daunting one. What wisdom could I share? I thought of my son and the life he had chosen. He was building his own family, and while I had once felt isolated by his decisions, I now saw a glimmer of hope. Perhaps I could play a role in his life, not as the controlling mother, but as a guiding figure, a source of insight and comfort. I envisioned myself writing letters, each one a piece of advice drawn from my own experiences, filled with the lessons I had learned about love, resilience, and the importance of family. I picked up my pen, feeling the weight of its significance. With each stroke, I could weave the threads of my life into words, creating something that might help him navigate the complexities of his own marriage. I began to write about love, how it isn't just a feeling, but a commitment, a choice made daily to support and uplift one another. I wanted to share my thoughts on family, how it's not just about blood, but the bonds we forge and nurture, and resilience. Oh, how I had learned to be resilient through the storms of my life. The act of writing felt empowering, as though I was reclaiming a narrative that had felt so lost before. I was not just leaving behind material wealth. I was crafting an emotional richness that could serve as a guide for my son and his wife. Each letter was a testament to my love for them both, a bridge connecting us even when the distance felt insurmountable. As I wrote, I reflected on the memories that had shaped me. I remembered the laughter shared over family dinners, the tears shed during difficult times, and the moments of joy that punctuated our lives. I thought of my own mother, who had imparted her wisdom in letters to me during my youth. Her words had comforted me, guiding me through the trials of my own marriage and motherhood. I hoped that my letters would do the same for my son and his wife. I could feel the emotional weight of my legacy taking shape, not as a burden, but as a gift. I envisioned my son reading my words, perhaps in moments of doubt or struggle, and feeling my presence beside him, reminding him that love is always a choice, even when times are tough. I wanted to be there for him, to share my experiences, my triumphs, and my failures, so he wouldn't have to navigate his path alone. There was something beautiful about the idea of intergenerational wisdom, how the lessons I learned could ripple through time and space, influencing not just my son, but his children, and perhaps even their children. My heart swelled at the thought. With each letter, I felt my heart grow lighter, as though I was shedding years of worry and regret. I was no longer just a mother who felt cast aside. I was a matriarch, ready to guide my family through the complexities of life with love and understanding. As the sun began to set outside my window, casting a warm glow across the room, I put down my pen and took a deep breath. This is my story, my legacy, I thought. It was a story of love, not just for my son, but for the family he was building. It was a story of resilience, of standing firm in the face of adversity, and of embracing change. I was ready to share my heart with them, to show them that the challenges they faced were not insurmountable but opportunities for growth and connection. I felt a sense of peace wash over me, a feeling that I had not experienced in a long time. I could see the path ahead more clearly now. It wasn't just about what I would leave behind. It was about how I could shape the future through the lessons I shared. I was not merely a spectator in my son's life. I was an active participant, ready to help him navigate his journey with love and wisdom. As I closed the notebook, I smiled, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. What will my son and his wife think of my letters? Will they find value in my experiences? I couldn't wait to find out. I was ready to step into this new chapter of my life, one filled with hope, love, and the legacy of wisdom I was determined to leave behind. I had always dreamed of a family gathering, a space where laughter mingled with the aroma of home-cooked meals. So I decided to host one in my new home, a place that felt like a blank canvas filled with memories waiting to be painted anew. I rummaged through my collection of cherished recipes, each dish a chapter of our family story, infused with love and nostalgia. As I chopped vegetables for my grandmother's stew and rolled out dough for my famous apple pie, I felt a flicker of hope. Today was not just about food. It was about reconnecting, about healing. Moments from the past echoed in my mind. Holidays, spent in joy, shared stories around the dinner table, and the warmth of family ties. Yet, the air was thick with tension as I awaited my son and his wife. Would they come? Would they accept my invitation to bridge the chasm that had formed between us? When the doorbell rang, my heart raced. I opened the door to see my son standing there, hesitant, his wife beside him. I embraced him tightly, feeling the familiar weight of his presence, a mixture of love and pain swirling within me. "Welcome home," I whispered, though I wondered if we could ever return to where we once were. As they stepped inside, I watched my daughter-in-law's eyes scan the room, taking in the photographs lining the walls, snapshots of birthdays, vacations, and milestones. I could sense her apprehension. I could feel it too. But I had poured so much of my heart into this gathering, determined to create an atmosphere of warmth. "I've made your favorite dishes," I said, allowing a smile to break through the tension. "Thanks, Mom," my son replied, the warmth in his voice feeling like a small victory. He moved closer to the kitchen, drawn by the scent of simmering stew. I could see the memories flickering in his eyes, just as they had in mine. It was a small spark, but enough to lighten the mood. As we settled around the table, I focused on fostering openness. I encouraged stories, laughter, and even a few tears. Each shared memory was like a thread weaving us back together, though I could still sense the underlying strain. "Do you remember that summer we spent at Grandma's house?" I asked, hoping to draw them into a moment of connection. My son chuckled softly. "Yeah, you made us help with the garden, even when we wanted to play. And you both complained the entire time. But look how much you learned," I teased, feeling lighter as laughter filled the air. My daughter-in-law joined in, her laughter bright and genuine. "I still can't believe you made us eat those vegetables we grew," the conversation flowed, and I watched as my son and his wife began to connect, with each other and with me on a deeper level. It was a beautiful sight, like watching flowers bloom after a long winter. As we moved to dessert, I noticed the tension starting to dissolve. I served my apple pie, the warm, buttery crust flaking perfectly as I cut into it. "This is my secret recipe," I announced, "passed down through generations." The pie was more than just a dessert. It was a symbol of family, of tradition. "I'd love to learn how to make this," my daughter-in-law said, her eyes sparkling with genuine interest. "It would be nice to carry on the tradition." I felt a lump in my throat, but I smiled, encouraging the idea. "I'd love that. We can make it together next time," I replied, my voice steady, though my heart raced. We spent the evening sharing stories of our lives, our struggles, and our dreams. I opened up about the pain of feeling abandoned when my son chose his wife over me. "I never wanted to be a burden," I confessed, my voice trembling. "I just wanted to feel included, to still be part of your life." His expression softened, and I could see the realization dawning on him. "Mom, I never meant to make you feel that way. It's just... things got complicated. This is complicated," I replied, gesturing around the table. "But we can work through it together." The atmosphere shifted, becoming a space for vulnerability and understanding. As we talked, I could see the walls between us starting to crumble. My son began to share his own struggles, revealing the pressures of balancing his new life with the memories of his childhood. "I've missed this," he admitted quietly, looking around the table at the faces of the people he loved. "I didn't realize how much until now." Tears welled in my eyes, not from sadness, but from hope. I could feel the spark of connection rekindling, the bond we once shared slowly re-emerging. As the night wore on, we shared our dreams, our fears and our hopes for the future. I could see my daughter-in-law beginning to understand the depth of our family's love, the history that shaped us. "Maybe we can have more gatherings like this," she suggested shyly, glancing at my son. "I think we all need it." "Yes," I echoed, my heart swelling with gratitude. This is just the beginning. With every shared laugh and every heartfelt confession, I realized that rebuilding our family bond would take time. But this gathering was a vital step toward healing our wounds. I felt a sense of peace wash over me, a quiet certainty that we could move forward together. As the night drew to a close, I caught my son's eye, and in that moment, I understood that love, though complicated, could lead us back to one another. It was a moment of hope, a promise of new beginnings. As the weeks rolled into months, I watched my son and his wife weather the storms of their new life together. Every phone call, every text message, became a lifeline for them, and I found myself listening intently to their troubles. One evening, my son called, his voice heavy with uncertainty. "Mom, can we talk?" The tone was familiar, yet it carried a weight I hadn't heard in a long time. "Of course, sweetheart. What's going on?" I could sense the struggle behind his words, the hesitance that had crept into their marriage. "It's just, we're not seeing eye to eye on things. I feel like we're fighting all the time, and I don't know how to fix it." In that moment, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe I could help them navigate this maze. "Have you considered that maybe you both need to communicate differently?" I suggested gently. He sighed. "I don't know where to start." "Start by listening," I advised. Sometimes all it takes is for one person to really hear what the other is saying. Weeks turned into a series of discussions. They came to me with stories of arguments over trivial matters, things that seemed small but were laced with deeper emotions. I listened, reflecting on the years I spent learning the hard way how to communicate. "Mom," my son said one night, "you always seem to know how to talk to Dad. How did you do it?" I thought back to the moments when my marriage was at its most fragile. I learned that love isn't just about the words we say. It's about understanding the silence in between. Sometimes it's about just being there, without judgment. Through our conversations, I watched them evolve. They began to share their feelings more openly, to express their fears and dreams. I could see the tension release, like air escaping a deflated balloon. One evening, as they sat across from me at the kitchen table, I witnessed a shift. I didn't realize how much I was holding back. My daughter-in-law admitted, "It's scary to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is strength," I reminded her, my heart swelling with pride as I saw my son nod in agreement. It's the foundation of trust. Things were changing, and I felt a warmth enveloping our little family. They were learning to lean on each other, to compromise. I could see them growing stronger, not just as a couple, but as individuals. I felt a sense of purpose that had been missing in my life. One afternoon, we all gathered for lunch, the scent of roasted vegetables wafting through the air. "Mom, we've been talking about making decisions together," my son said, his eyes bright with enthusiasm. "Like, we want to decide together what to do on weekends, not just go along with what one of us wants." "That sounds wonderful," I exclaimed, feeling a surge of joy. It's all about balance. Finding common ground can bring you closer. As time progressed, I began to realize how far we had come. The walls that had separated my son and me were slowly crumbling. I found myself reflecting on my own journey, the lessons I had learned. They were not just applicable to my life, but to theirs as well, Mom. "Thanks for being our sounding board," my daughter-in-law said one evening. "You've helped us see things from a different perspective." "It's easy to forget that love requires effort," I replied, my heart full. "You're both doing the work, and I'm so proud of you." In those moments, I felt a connection rekindling between my son and me. The pride I felt watching them grow was immeasurable. I was no longer just a spectator. I was a part of their journey, a guide helping them navigate the complexities of love and commitment. As they continued to face their challenges, I found myself offering insights not just as a mother, but as someone who had walked a similar path. "Always remember, it's okay to disagree," I said one day, sipping my tea. "What matters is how you resolve those disagreements." They listened, eager to absorb every word, and with each conversation I felt my own heart healing. The Love I had for my son was deepening, transforming into a bond built on mutual respect and understanding. One evening, as I sat in my favorite chair, reflecting on how far we had come, I realized that my journey had equipped me with a wisdom that could light the way for others. I had once felt lost, but now I was finding my purpose in helping them build their future together. I never expected to be in this role, I confessed to my son one night, but I'm glad I am. Mom, you've been a lifesaver for us, he replied, his voice filled with gratitude. We wouldn't be where we are without your support. Their words washed over me like a warm embrace. I had taken steps to mend my own heart, and in doing so, I had opened a door to a new beginning, not just for them, but for myself as well. As they navigated their challenges, I felt a renewed sense of hope. I was not just witnessing their growth, I was a part of it. I could see the possibility of rebuilding trust, love, and a family that had once felt fractured. And with each passing day, I felt grateful for the opportunity to make a meaningful impact in their lives. The journey of life is often unpredictable, but I had learned that, with patience and understanding, we could face anything together. As we gathered in the living room, the atmosphere was thick with unspoken words. The sunlight filtered through, the old lace curtains, casting intricate patterns on the worn wooden floor. A reminder of the years gone by and the memories we had shared. I took a deep breath, my heart heavy with the weight of past grievances. It was time for us to confront the ghosts that had haunted our family for too long. Before we begin, I want to say that I love you both, I said, my voice trembling slightly. This is not about blame. It's about healing. We've all held onto pain, and it's time to let it go. My son looked at me, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. Mom, Let me finish, please. I interrupted gently. I know I haven't been the mother you needed, and I've harbored feelings of abandonment ever since you chose your wife. I think I've held on to that pain for too long, and it's fractured our relationship. But I don't want to live like that anymore. I want us to open our hearts to one another. His wife, seated beside him, shifted her gaze between us. I've felt that distance too, she admitted softly. There were moments I wanted to reach out, but I didn't know how. I thought I was protecting him from the hurt. A silence enveloped the room, heavy with the weight of our admissions. I could see my son's face tightening, struggling with the tension. I didn't mean to choose one over the other, he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. I just wanted to build my own life. I understand that now, I replied, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside me. But we can't move forward while clinging to what has separated us. We need to confront our feelings, to let the hurt surface and be acknowledged. Where do we even start? My son asked, looking lost. Let's create a circle, a safe space where we can share without interruption, I suggested. Let's allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to express the pain and misunderstandings that have lingered too long. They nodded and we formed a circle on the floor, hands clasped together. I could feel the warmth of their palms against mine, a small comfort in the midst of our turmoil. I'll go first, I said, closing my eyes for a moment to gather my thoughts. Remember the day you got married? My heart was torn in two. I felt so proud of you, yet so alone. I had imagined being by your side, but instead I stood at the edge, watching you choose a new path. I thought you didn't need me anymore. That feeling of abandonment turned into resentment, and I lashed out in ways I regret. My son squeezed my hand. I thought you didn't approve of her. I thought you wanted me to remain your little boy forever. I never wanted that, I said, a tear escaping down my cheek. I wanted you to be happy, but I forgot to express that. I was too wrapped up in my own hurt. His wife shared her feelings next, her voice trembling. I've felt like a barrier between you two. I never wanted to come between a mother and her son. I thought if I kept my distance, it would help. But it only created a wider gap. I'm sorry for the misunderstandings. As we shared, the atmosphere shifted. Each word lifted the weight off our shoulders, allowing healing to seep into the cracks of our relationships. I could hear the vulnerability in my son's voice as he spoke about the pressure he felt to please both me and his wife. I just wanted to make everyone happy, he admitted, but I lost sight of what that really meant. Forgiveness is a two-way street, I reminded him gently. I need your forgiveness as much as you need mine. I want to let go of the resentment, but it means confronting my own flaws too. I'm not perfect, and I've made mistakes. I've let my fears guide my actions, and it's time for me to own that. His wife nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. And I need to forgive myself for feeling like I needed to choose between you both. I see now how that hurt all of us. In that moment, the air felt lighter, as if a weight had been lifted. We began to share our memories, both sweet and painful, weaving a tapestry of our shared experiences. I recalled family gatherings filled with laughter, the way we would cook together in the kitchen, the warmth of our shared moments. Yet I also spoke of the silence that followed my son's marriage, the way it echoed in my heart. I miss those days, I said, my voice thick with emotion. But I know we can create new memories, ones that include all of us together. I miss them too, my son replied, his voice cracking. I want that connection back, Mom. I don't want you to feel abandoned anymore. I want us to be a family again. The words hung between us, a fragile promise of healing. I felt a renewed sense of hope blossoming within me, like flowers pushing through the cracks of winter's frost. Let's make a pact, I said. From this day forward, let's commit to open communication. Let's promise to express our feelings, to confront misunderstandings head-on, and to forgive each other for our shortcomings. They both nodded solemnly, and I felt a rush of gratitude. We were no longer three individuals lost in our own pain. We were a family, united in our desire for healing and understanding. As we released each other's hands and the circle dissolved, I felt lighter. Forgiveness wasn't just a word. It was a journey, a commitment we were willing to embark on together. I could see a path unfolding before us, one filled with possibilities. In that moment, I realized that the power of forgiveness was not just in the act itself, but in the connections it fostered. It opened doors to empathy and compassion, bridging the gaps that had once felt insurmountable. I looked at my son and his wife, feeling a warmth radiate between us. This is what family is meant to feel like. With each passing day, I hoped we could build a legacy of understanding and love, transforming our pain into something beautiful. The road ahead wouldn't always be easy, but I knew we had taken the first crucial step toward healing. Together we could redefine our family, crafting a new narrative rooted in forgiveness, understanding, and a shared commitment to growth. Our journey would not be without challenges, but I felt a strength stirring within me, fueled by the love that still lingered between us. Forgiveness would be our guide, lighting the way as we ventured into a future filled with hope and possibility. As autumn painted the world in hues of orange and gold, I found myself wrapped in a blanket of change. The crisp air held the promise of new beginnings, and I felt it deep within my bones. a stirring that resonated with the shifting leaves outside my window. I had left behind the life I once knew, and in its place, I was slowly crafting something entirely my own. I had always admired art from afar. It was a world I had only ever dipped my toes into, never fully immersing myself. But now, with my newfound freedom, I enrolled in an art class at the local community center. The first day felt like the first step into a vibrant dream. I stood among a group of eager souls, young and old, each one with a story to tell. As the instructor spoke, I could feel the excitement bubbling within me. This was my chance to explore the colors and textures of my emotions, to give life to the stories I had kept tucked away in the corners of my heart. Picking up a brush for the first time was like holding a magic wand. I felt alive. The canvas, before me a blank page waiting for the words of my soul. I painted with reckless abandon, splashing vibrant colors that mirrored my hopes and fears. Each stroke was a release, a cathartic expression of the journey I had undertaken. I could see the beauty in imperfection and the joy in experimentation. The other students became my confidants, sharing their struggles and dreams, and I found myself becoming a mentor to some, guiding them through their artistic blockages with the wisdom I had gathered over the years. In those moments, I learned not just to create, but to connect. My heart swelled with a sense of belonging, something I had longed for during the turbulent times of my past. I began to see the world anew, finding inspiration in the simplest things. A flower blooming through a crack in the pavement, the laughter of children playing in the park. I was rediscovering the beauty of life, and it filled me with gratitude. Also joined community initiatives, becoming active in programs that aimed to uplift those in need. Volunteering at the local food bank brought me face to face with stories that mirrored my own struggles. I met a single mother who worked multiple jobs, trying to make ends meet for her children. I saw the determination in her eyes, a reflection of the resilience I had cultivated in my own life. We shared our experiences, the bond of motherhood, creating an unspoken understanding between us. Through these interactions, I began to realize that my journey was not just about my own transformation. It was about lifting others as I rose. I organized art workshops for children in underserved neighborhoods, hoping to ignite in them the same passion that had ignited in me. Watching their faces light up as they created their masterpieces was a gift beyond measure. I had become more than just a mother. I had become a source of inspiration, a beacon of hope for those who felt lost. As my relationship with my son and his wife flourished, it felt as though the wounds of the past were healing. We would gather for family dinners, laughter filling the air as we shared stories and memories. I found joy in the simplest of moments, watching my son teach his daughter how to ride a bicycle, the two of them giggling as she wobbled and fell, only to get back up again. I realized that I was no longer just a figure in the background, but an active participant in their lives. Milestones became our celebrations, each one a testament to the love that had grown from the ashes of past hurt. Birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays were filled with laughter and warmth. We created new memories that slowly began to replace the painful ones. Like a fresh coat of paint covering an old, faded wall, I cherished these moments, grateful for the opportunity to be part of a family again. In quiet moments of reflection, I often thought about how far I had come since leaving my old life behind. I was no longer just a mother who had felt discarded. I had transformed into a mentor, a friend, and a woman filled with purpose. I had embraced the importance of adapting to life's changes, understanding that each twist and turn could lead to unexpected joys. Over cups of tea, my daughter-in-law and I would share our dreams, our hopes for the future. I could see the woman. She was becoming, strong and resilient in her own right. She often sought my advice, and I found joy in being there for her, just as I had once hoped my own mother would be for me. Our relationship blossomed like spring flowers breaking through the winter frost, each interaction bringing us closer together. There were still moments of introspection, times when I would sit quietly and reflect on the journey that had led me here. I thought about the legacy I wanted to leave behind, the memories I wished to create with my family. I realized that life was a beautiful tapestry, woven from both light and dark threads, and I had the power to choose which colors I wanted. To emphasize, what would my life look like if I continued to embrace change, to lean into the unknown? I felt the thrill of possibility, the excitement of what lay ahead. I understood that my heart would always carry the weight of my past, but I had learned to dance with it, to find joy even in the shadows. With every brushstroke on the canvas of my life, I was crafting a future filled with love, connection, and transformation. I stood before my latest painting, a swirling mass of colors that represented my journey, a blend of struggles and triumphs, heartaches and joys. It was a reflection of me, a woman who had chosen to embrace change rather than shy away from it. I felt a sense of pride swell within me, knowing that this was only the beginning. Life was a continuous unfolding, and I was ready to embrace every moment, knowing that each step forward was a step toward a brighter future. In this new chapter, I found strength in vulnerability and beauty in imperfection. As I looked out at the world, I felt vibrant and alive, connected to a community that once felt distant. With every brushstroke, I was not just painting a canvas, I was painting my life, and I was determined to make it a masterpiece. The sun cast a warm golden glow through the living room window as I gathered my family once more to celebrate my son and his wife's anniversary. The air was thick with love and gratitude, an atmosphere I had longed for after the storms we had weathered. This time felt different. It felt like home. As I watched them interact, their love palpable, I felt a sense of peace wash over me, a gentle tide erasing the scars of the past. I looked around the room, taking in the faces of my loved ones, each one a reflection of the journey we had taken together. My heart swelled with pride and hope. We were no longer just a family divided by misunderstandings and choices. We were a family united by resilience and love. The challenges we faced had become threads in the fabric of our shared story, and I was grateful for every moment that brought us to this point. During the dinner, laughter echoed off the walls, and I felt the weight of my earlier decisions lift slightly. I thought about the years of conflict, the moments I had felt pushed away, and how I had responded by retreating into myself. Yet here we were, gathered around one table, celebrating the love between my son and his wife. It was a beautiful reminder that love, in all its forms, could heal even the deepest wounds. As dinner concluded, I stood up, my heart pounding with a mix of excitement and trepidation. I had prepared something special, a scrapbook filled with memories, lessons, and hopes for the future. I wanted them to understand that they were part of a legacy that transcended material wealth. It was about love, resilience, and the bonds we create through our shared experiences. I took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the moment envelop me. I have something to share with all of you, I began, my voice steady despite the fluttering in my chest. This scrapbook is a collection of our journey together. It's filled with memories, but more importantly, it holds lessons that I hope you will carry with you as you continue to build your life together. I handed it over to my son and his wife, their eyes widening with curiosity. I could see the flicker of recognition as they opened the pages, revealing snapshots of birthdays, holidays, and quiet moments that spoke volumes. Each page turned was a reminder of where we had come from, and each photo was a testament to our resilience. Remember this? I pointed to a picture of us at the beach, my son laughing as he tried to build a sandcastle. We had such a wonderful time that day, and I'll always cherish how you both worked together, turning a simple afternoon into a magical memory. They smiled back at me, and I continued. This isn't just a book of memories. It's a reminder that no matter what challenges life throws at us, we have each other. We are stronger when we stand together. As I watched them flip through the pages, I felt a wave of nostalgia crash over me. Each picture was like a key unlocking doors to the past, revealing moments of joy, love, and even heartache. I realized that while my initial reaction to their marriage had been one of hurt and betrayal, I could now see the beauty in their union. They had created something special together, something worth celebrating. We've faced our share of challenges, I said, my voice softening. But it's the love we've shared that has brought us back together. It's what will carry us through, whatever lies ahead. My son looked up, his expression earnest. Mom, I know we've had our differences, but I want you to know that I've always valued your love and support. I'm grateful for what you've given us. His words hit me deeply, stirring emotions I had kept at bay for so long. I nodded, my throat tightening. And I'm proud of you both. You've built a beautiful life together, one that I want to be a part of. This is just the beginning of our new legacy. As they continued to peruse the scrapbook, I felt a sense of hope blooming within me. I envisioned a future where we could support each other through thick and thin, where love would always be the foundation of our family. This gathering was not just a celebration of their love, it was a reaffirmation of our family ties. I cleared my throat, feeling the moment draw to a close. Let's make a promise tonight, I proposed, looking each of them in the eyes. Let's commit to nurturing this legacy of love and resilience. Let's support one another, no matter what challenges arise. Together we can create a future filled with hope. They nodded in unison, and I felt the warmth of their agreement wrap around me like a comforting blanket. In that moment I realized that my journey had come full circle. I had once believed that leaving behind my material wealth would mean losing everything. But now I understood that true wealth lies in the love we share and the memories we create together. As the evening drew to a close, I felt lighter, as if a great weight had been lifted from my shoulders. I was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, knowing that I had a family who loved me. This wasn't just about my son and his wife anymore. It was about all of us, united in love and shared experiences. I looked out at the familiar faces surrounding me, each one a part of my heart. The future felt bright, and I was filled with a sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought us here. Our legacy was not just a story of conflict. It was a testament to love's power to heal and unite us. As I sit on my porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon, I find myself enveloped in the soft hues of twilight. The sky transforms into a canvas of oranges and purples, and I can't help but feel a sense of calm wash over me. This past year has been a journey filled with trials, choices, and the kind of heartache that leaves deep imprints on one's soul. Yet, here I am, reflecting on how those very challenges have shaped me. There was a time when I thought losing my son to his wife meant losing him altogether. It felt as if a part of my heart had been severed from my being. But now, in this moment of stillness, I realize that letting go doesn't equate to losing. I can see how our relationship has blossomed, rooted in understanding and acceptance. It's as if we've both grown in different directions, yet somehow found our way back to one another, like two branches of the same tree, reaching for the sun. I think about the conversations we've shared lately, how they've shifted from strained exchanges to warm laughter. My son's wife, once a stranger, has become a friend. I remember when I first met her, the tension palpable, the air thick with unspoken words. I carried the weight of my fears, worried that she would take him away from me. But as time passed, I learned that love doesn't diminish, it expands. Watching them together, I found joy in their happiness. I discovered that the more I embraced their union, the more space I created for my own heart to heal. Isn't it funny how life teaches us lessons wrapped in layers of pain? I've learned to love myself again, to see my own worth beyond the title of mother. I am a storyteller. My life is a tapestry of experiences, each thread woven with memories of laughter, tears, and resilience. I once believed that my identity was solely tied to my children, that my value diminished when they chose their own paths. But as I sit here, I understand that I am so much more. I am a mentor, a friend, and perhaps even a guide for others navigating their own journeys. I remember the days when I would sit alone, consumed by loneliness. The silence of the house echoed my despair. I was afraid of what the future held, terrified of letting my son go. But over time, I built relationships anew, with neighbors who became companions and friends who reignited my spirit. I learned to embrace the laughter that echoed in my home once more, filling the empty spaces with stories and warmth. Each interaction became a thread in this new tapestry, a reminder that life is meant to be shared. Reflecting on this journey, I realized that my strength lies not in my ability to hold on, but in my capacity to let go. I've come to understand that resilience is not the absence of struggle, but the courage to rise above it. Each challenge has been a stepping stone, each heartbreak a lesson. I feel a deep sense of gratitude for the experiences that have shaped me, for the moments that felt insurmountable but ultimately led to personal growth. As the sun sets, casting long shadows across the porch, I think about the legacy I wish to leave behind. It is not just about wealth or possessions. It's about the memories we create, the values we instill, and the love we share. I want my son to remember me not just as his mother, but as a woman who embraced life fully, who found joy in unexpected places. I want him to know that my journey is not defined by my sacrifices, but by my willingness to grow and evolve. What will I do next? I'm ready to embrace whatever comes my way, knowing that I have the strength to face it head on. Life is an adventure filled with twists and turns that can lead us to incredible places if we allow ourselves to be open to change. I feel a spark of excitement at the thought of new beginnings, of exploring the world beyond my porch. With this newfound perspective, I stand up and stretch, the cool evening breeze brushing against my skin, invigorating my spirit. I glance back at my home, at the walls that have witnessed both joy and sorrow, and I smile. I'm ready to step beyond the confines of my own fears and into the world, to share my stories and to listen to others. I carry the lessons of the past with me, but I won't be bound by them. The journey continues, and with every step, I find a renewed sense of purpose. I'm no longer just a mother whose heart aches. I'm a woman who has learned to embrace the beauty of life in all its complexities. As the last rays of sunlight fade, I take a deep breath, feeling the weight of the past lift ever so slightly. Tomorrow is a new day, an opportunity to write the next chapter of my life, and I can't wait to see where it leads me. I stand at the edge of a new horizon, the sun rising on the world ahead of me, and I can feel the weight of the past lifting. My son chose his wife over me, a decision that shattered my heart, but it also set me free. I took my fortune, both material and emotional, and walked away, not out of anger, but with a sense of purpose. As I survey the vast expanse before me, I realize this is a moment of transformation, a chance to redefine my legacy. Life has a way of teaching us lessons we never expect. I spent years nurturing a bond with my son, only to find it severed by the very love I thought would strengthen us. But today, as the warmth of the sun envelops me, I am not just an abandoned mother. I am a woman reborn. This journey isn't just about loss. It's about rediscovery. It's about embracing the possibilities that lie ahead, the adventures yet to come, and the stories waiting to be told. What do I want to leave behind? It's a question that dances in my mind like the flickering shadows of the trees in a gentle breeze. I want to leave a legacy of resilience, a testament to the strength we all carry within us. I think of the countless women who have faced similar challenges, those who feel invisible in their own lives. I want my story to resonate with them, to remind them that their voices matter, that they too can rise from the ashes of their struggles. I can see the pages of my book forming in my mind, each chapter a reflection of my experiences. I want to share my journey, the heartbreak, the turmoil, the moments of clarity that led me to this very point. It's not just my story. It's a reflection of the human experience, a narrative woven into the fabric of existence. I envision sitting in cozy cafes, surrounded by warm cups of coffee, sharing my words with others who find themselves lost in the chaos of life. You are not alone, I want to tell them. We all have our battles. I can picture the faces of women nodding in understanding, their eyes glistening with shared pain and hope. The thought ignites a fire within me. I'm ready to connect with people beyond my immediate circle, to inspire them to embrace their journeys, to remind them that life is not just about surviving, it's about living fully. As I take a deep breath, I feel a renewed sense of purpose. I can't change the decisions others have made, but I can change how I respond to them. I can choose to be a beacon of hope, a symbol of resilience. With each passing day, I want to embody the spirit of someone who, despite adversity, rises to meet the dawn with courage and grace. The world around me is alive with possibilities, and I am determined to seize them. I think of the legacy I want to leave, not just for my son, but for future generations. I want them to know that it's okay to choose themselves, to pursue their dreams, and to reclaim their narratives. I want to show them that love can take many forms, and sometimes the most profound love is the one we extend to ourselves. As I reflect on my journey, I realize how much I've grown. The hardships I've faced have shaped me into the woman I am today, stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. I want to share that wisdom with the world, to offer insights that may help others navigate their own struggles. I want to delve into the complexities of relationships, the nuances of love, and the importance of self-acceptance. I can almost hear the tapping of my fingers on the keyboard, the rhythm of my thoughts spilling onto the page. I envision the stories I will tell, the laughter, the tears, the moments of vulnerability that connect us all. I want to write about the strength found in vulnerability, the beauty of forging our paths, and the importance of standing firm in our truths. I think of the places I want to visit, the people I want to meet. I see myself at book signings, surrounded by readers eager to share their own stories with me. I want to create a community, a network of women supporting women, sharing their experiences, and lifting one another up. I want to be part of a movement that inspires change, that advocates for social justice and equality. Your story matters. I want to shout from the rooftops. Your voice deserves to be heard. I can feel the energy building inside me, the anticipation of what lies ahead. I'm ready to embrace the unknown, to step into the light of new beginnings. As the sun climbs higher in the sky, I feel a surge of hope. I am not defined by my past, but empowered by it. I have the strength to write my own narrative, to shape my legacy into something beautiful and impactful. The world is vast, and I am ready to explore every corner of it, to uncover the stories waiting to be told. What if my words could change lives? The thought sends shivers down my spine. I may be just one woman, but I believe in the power of connection, in the strength of shared experiences. My journey is a testament to resilience, and if I can inspire even one person to embrace their own path, then my mission will be fulfilled. As I stand on the brink of this new chapter, I embrace the possibilities that lie ahead. I am ready to turn the page, to write the next chapter of my life with intention and purpose. The future is unwritten, and I hold the pen. I am filled with excitement, ready to share my voice, to make a difference in the world, and to inspire others to do the same. With every heartbeat, I feel the promise of tomorrow. I am no longer just a mother who was left behind. I am a woman stepping boldly into her own story, ready to embrace the adventures that await me. Up next, we have 2 more incredible stories that are waiting for you. Just click the image you want to watch, and it will take you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. It would mean a lot.